All right, so back for another episode of Faith in Home Buying. I completely appreciate you tuning in for these, actually, this last couple of weeks where I've been exploring topics related to housing discrimination and just related to how we've gotten to where we're at in 2020, right? It wasn't anything that was made overnight. And I think the more that you can shed light on how things were and shed light on situations that were just kind of unfair, the more that you'll be able to recognize those situations and be able to kind of call them out. And, you know, whether you're looking for homes or whether you're looking for rental properties, whatever the case may be, and it doesn't matter what actually ethnic makeup you are, you know, when these practices or when you see things happening, you're able to identify them, right? So today we're going to be talking a little bit more about steering. I talked about last week the the area of Belhaven, specifically in our backyard in Menlo Park, that, you know, why it became the kind of the makeup of how it became Belhaven and how it became segregated in a lot of ways, and what happened with the government, and, you know, different areas that were segregated on purpose, and, you know, kind of the things that they took in order to change the makeup of that area. But granted, you know, because of schooling and different things that have happened, you know, splitting Menlo Park from specifically this area, schools, schools system, it did in fact suffer, as well as the residents there, it did in fact suffer. But that was just one example of you know, what had happened systemically that ended up changing the landscape of real estate in that area. But today, steering. I talked about steering a little bit before, kind of like on the beginnings, maybe like 2 weeks ago or so, but talked about that. And steering is when an agent, or like a broker agent, maybe a rental person, but usually an agent steers a potential client to a different area based off of their ethnic makeup. And it's not only wrong, but it is against the law, especially considering the fair housing discrimination laws that we had talked about in my previous podcast and my previous episodes. So we're going to talk about the day, but we're going to start it off with a little bit of activation, like the activation, educate, and hopefully empower, right? So today I've been kind of sitting in Proverbs 11, Proverbs 11:24. And I don't know, just kind of sitting on it and just kind of God just speaking to me, just even not even just about my own life, but about how to be a better, number one, you know, Christian mom, you know, woman, female, friend, all of that, right? So Proverbs 11:24, it states in 24 and 25, it says, generosity brings prosperity, but withholding from charity brings poverty. Verse 25, those who live to bless others will have blessings heaped upon them. And the one who pours out his life to pour out blessings will be saturated with favor. And, you know, that, you know, along with what I had, you know, spoke about on the last time is, God, you know, let me be as generous as I can be, not only just with my finances and the monetary, you know, part, but let me be generous with my time. Let me be generous with my resources. Let me be generous with my knowledge and my information, so I can hopefully share that with someone and hopefully, you know, help them in a particular area. You know, hence a lot of the things that I do, and a lot of things, especially with my clients being first-time home buyers, or just those just, you know, coming to the market or coming back into the market right after a long time, just being generous with my time and saying, you know, if I can give back in some type of way, and hopefully letting people know that, you know, just either about home buying or just about getting their credit together, or getting their financial situation together so that they're better prepared in order for home ownership. I'm glad I want to do that. I want to be able to bless others so abundantly that, not to say that I want to, you know, bless them just to come back. I know it will, but I want to do it in a way that's selflessly. I want to do it in a way where I'm not expecting something back, But hey, Lord, I know that once I give out, you bring those things back into my life twofold, tenfold. And you're the example to that, right? You gave out your whole life. You emptied it out in order so that we may have it. So God, I just pray for not only just myself, but those that are listening, that you would have the ability and find times. And again, it's not always money, but find times to be able to pour yourself out generously so that God can continue to bring things back to you. And that's not necessarily money too. That's favor with regards to life, love, happiness, and the pursuit of it, right? That's the abundant life. That's making sure that you go from glory to glory with your health as well as your well-being. So thank you for that, for listening to that. Hopefully that blessed someone. But steering, let's switch zones real quick and talk a little bit about steering. And, you know, I in my business and my practice, and those of you who are first-time home buyers, you know, one of the things that, you know, you try to do as a realtor, as an agent, is to set up your client for success in the neighborhoods, the areas that they're looking for, everything surrounding their home search. And a lot of times, you know, ulterior motives with agents are just to make sure that, you know, certain areas are not maybe overpopulated, which I think is just the craziest thing, or will not show you all of the homes. There was recently a tweet that was done by, I think it was, who was it? There was a tweet that was read. It'll come back to me in a second. But there was a tweet that was read that stated that the reason why, pretty much, I'm paraphrasing, but pretty much the reason why, you know, Black people, for instance, do not get access to, you know, homes is because realtors don't show them. Oh, John Legend, that's who it was. Because realtors don't show them all of the homes. And I thought about that, and I'm like, well, that's not me, so it doesn't offend me. However, it did offend a large majority of people because, you know, as a home buyer, you would think that, you know, every agent, every realtor is going to do the same thing. They're going to not be discriminatory in any fashion. Basically, you know, they're looking out for your best interest, which they should, and that's ethically, and that's what we should do. However, you do have a small majority that don't, and that's real. And it's real, and it's as real as, you know, November 17th of 2019, actually 2 years before that, really. The Newsday Project, they actually did this in Long Island, and I would encourage you to kind of look at that Newsday, Long Island Divided. They did a undercover investigation, and it revealed evidence that some agents sorted house hunters by race and ethnicity. No joke, in 2019. Now, when I, you know, read this article and when I heard about it, it didn't surprise me because I know that not everyone is on the realm of integrity when it comes to real estate. However, it did kind of shock me a little bit how blatantly obvious that some of the agents were and how they were steering. And remember, steering is, you know, based off of race, based off of ethnicity, moving someone, or actually only showing homes in a particular area where you think that, you know, a person's Black, Hispanic, Asian, white, doesn't matter, that they would fit best. And that's against fair housing practices. You are not supposed to do that. You are not supposed to deny certain areas unless the client says so, not specifically because of, hey, I don't like that area because there's a whole lot of Blacks there. Can't do that. Even as an agent, I would be required to, you know, ultimately not work with that person, especially because of what they're requesting and saying that I should do. Even selling a home, believe it or not, you can't, even as an agent, you can't necessarily represent someone that says, well, I don't want my house sold to X, Y, and Z. Can't do that, believe it or not. So this undercover investigation, it found that, at least in this particular one, that even so, it was the test of, in 21 of 86 Newsday tests, and these are all undercover tests, right? 24% of agents located white and minority house hunters in areas that were different enough to suggest evidence of steering. So they did a lot of different tests. And in these tests, they found that the agents, not only what they would say as far as, saying different things to their clients in different capacities, right? So if you're telling someone to look in a particular area or do a certain thing, you should tell them across the board that that's what they need to do to know about an area, or know about a crime rate, or know, the makeup of a particular area. But when you get into the realm of saying, talking about ethnicity, when you get into the realm of talking about I don't know, the makeup of seeing things at a particular time frame, and it becomes more pseudo language of, hey, if you're there, and if you go there at nighttime, you'll see who's there. You can't do that. Or either telling someone to watch the bus and see who comes out of it and see what the moms are waiting for at the corner. You can't do that. And if you're going to give evidence or give information, you need to give it across the board. It doesn't matter what ethnic makeup that your clientele is. And when you say one thing to one group and you don't say it to another, well then, yep, you might be steering as an agent. So we're going to end in a second in here, but when we come back, I'll give some more concrete examples so that you know what to look out for if in fact you are house hunting and then you're figuring, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. So stay tuned. This is again Tamika Ellsworth, and I'm equipping people of faith for the home buying process. Stay tuned. All right, back again. Thank you very much for continuing part 2 of the show today. And we're talking about steering. Okay, and again, if you didn't hear from the first part, but steering is when an agent kind of against the law steers you in an area where they think that ethnically or color-wise, whatever, that you actually fit into that area better, and steers you away from an area that you probably qualified for, but based off of ethnic ethnic breakdown, they steer you in a different direction. So again, this is just really to kind of let you know, as far as a home buyer, these are the things that you should look out for, right? The language that someone says when they're speaking about a particular area. And if you get the kind of feeling like, I'm in this area, and you're saying certain things just because I would feel comfortable in this area, you need to question that. Because at least for myself, and I tell my clients this all the time, like, if there is an area that you don't want to be in, you let me know. You let me know whether there's a zip code that you don't want to be in. You let me know that. Other than that, I'm not going to, steer you in a direction just based off of the fact that you are, Black, and I'm going to, fit you in this area. However, if you're asking for a particular, school system, or if you're asking for a particular, something, then I'll make sure that I adhere to that. But, across the board, it doesn't matter. If in fact, an area we drive there, doesn't matter how the home is, the area around it, I'm going to show it to you. If it fits your criteria, if it fits everything you're looking for, the last thing I look for is an area on the density of population, on whether it's white, Black, Hispanic, or anything like that. I don't look at that. And you shouldn't, as an agent. You shouldn't be very, very even keel when it comes to that. And so make sure when you are looking for agents that they're looking at that very thing. But this Newsweek article, or this Newsweek undercover investigation, this is what it showed number wise. And I so encourage you to look at the newsday.com, and you can see the Long Island and steering. I'd so encourage you to look at it. It's fascinating what has happened in that area. And again, it just came out in 2019 of November. So yeah, it's pretty fresh. But anyway, so what the numbers had shown in a nutshell was that where the white population was lowest, agents gave white testers their lowest share of listings. So basically 24% on average. And Blacks, their highest share, 36% on average. Interesting, right? So that's saying that, okay, well, you're Black, you'll fit inside this area. You'll probably feel a little bit better over here. Can't do that. It has to be across the board. The same that you do with one is the same that you do with the other, right? It also talked It also talked about where the white population was highest, the count was reversed. Interesting. While testers got the highest share of their listings, which was 42% on average, and Black testers got the lowest, which is 31% on average. So if that doesn't tell you anything as far as the numbers, especially if you're a numbers person, that just shows that yes, there were things going on that were not fair across the board. Look out for that as a homeowner, right? What it states is the trends were different in the placement of listings provided to Asian and Hispanic testers compared with the listings provided to their white counterparts. So the same thing happened with Asian and Hispanic. As happened with white testers, the agents gave Asian testers more of their listings in areas with higher proportion of white residents than they did in neighborhoods with fewer whites. The pattern was similar for Hispanic testers, although less pronounced. So either way, across the board, for instance, Black people that were looking in areas were not shown the homes that they would actually qualify for. Interesting, right? Wouldn't think that would be a part of anything, and specifically the experience. The last thing I want to touch on is just really interesting, especially with everything going on today. Most people thinking that, oh, this is just not, if people don't do this in housing, they don't do this. This is not, the truth. This is like back in the day. This is something that, you just need to get over, because no, unfortunately, and I hate to say this, but unfortunately, it is something in the housing market that is something that you have to address. You have to make sure that you're cognizant of. The reason why I say this is because the Newsday article, or the Newsday expose talked about, it said the Newsday testers experienced disparate treatment 49% of the time when compared with white buyers. And a lot of them, when you're hunting and you're a Black person hunting for a house, they had no idea that agents do this. They had no idea that agents directed them towards different neighborhoods than their white counterparts. They didn't know that they gave them fewer house listings. They didn't know that they put them under greater financial scrutiny. And actually, there was a LendingTree had did a article recently talking about the amount of financial scrutiny that different races get put through. And hey, surprise, there was a disparity. There was a difference that happened. Also, most have no idea that agents disparaged minority communities when speaking with whites. So pretty much they didn't show white people certain areas that were probably more densely populated with those of other colors. Fascinating. And still in 2019. And I have to say this, the testing evidence found evidence that, and this is kind of the takeaway, and then I'll wrap it up, but testing found that Black testers experience unequal treatment 49% of the time. So basically half of the time, you weren't getting the right homes. You weren't getting every single home. You were being steered and swayed in different areas that you could have probably thrived in and been in. And that's not okay. It's not okay. I'm a realtor, and I know that's not okay. And so absolutely, I'm going to speak on it. And absolutely, I'm going to let people know that, hey, look out for these things. These are some of the things that they found as well. Newsday's Black testers experienced this disparate treatment at higher rates than did Hispanic, which is 39%, and Asian testers, 19%. Interesting. Black, 49%, Hispanic, 39%, and Asian testers, 19%. In 11 cases, agents directed Black testers to different neighborhoods than white testers in comparisons that showed evidence of steering. Again, no, don't want to be over there. No, let's go this way, right? In 5 instances, agents imposed conditions on Black testers that amounted to the denial of equal service compared with conditions requested of white testers. Interesting, right? That could be a many of different reasons why, but ultimately, still, it is not okay as a realtor, as an agent, to treat one particular group different than the other. Doesn't matter what, whether it's reversed or not. It's just not okay. And if you do find yourself doing that, there are ways that you can go about reporting, the agent, especially if they are a realtor, because again, we're governed by the National Association of Realtors, the California Association of Realtors, and then even by our governing MLS board. Okay, so there are ways that you can go in order to speak on and to make sure that people aren't doing that. And if they are, you can also report them. Here's 2 other things that they had found. In 3 cases, agents either spoke about steering to the white tester, but not to the black tester, or volunteered information about the ethnic makeup of communities only to white testers. Can't do that. How obvious is that? You know, you can't do that. And most people will ask, and I've had people that ask me about, you know, X, Y, and Z, and I direct them, well, if you want to know the different demographics about a particular area, and this is across the board, you can look it up on, you know, the internet. I'll send you information that's out there based off the CMA, and you can look it up over there. But ultimately, I'm not going to cut out an area just because of based off of the ethnic makeup. Just not doing it. It's not me. Shouldn't be practiced. So one of the last things that they found was altogether, agents provided white testers an average of 50% more listings than they gave to black counterparts. Fascinating. 39 compared with 26, including instances when agents provided no listings to one tester. So think about that. These are not people that are not qualified in these areas. They're qualified across the board. The only change was just their ethnic and their, you know, their ethnic makeup. But yet, the amount of listings are homes that could have potentially been the dream home. It could have potentially been, you know, the wealth starter and creation, you know, in a particular household or generational line were denied and, you know, not even shown. So again, you know, we talked about redlining. Oh, that's not really a thing. Well, in 2019, things maybe not redlining per se, but you still have steering that was happening, basically putting people in different areas and compartmentalizing them in societies and places that the agent actually felt that they should be placed. Fascinating to see, and you know, and to see the breakdown of actually those areas and still keeping those areas looking a certain way. We find in gentrification in a lot of areas that we are in Oakland and around. You know, obviously, you know, that wasn't happening there. However, point being is a lot of the people that were there got moved out or either chased out or just because of high rent or predatory lending, they no longer have their homes. And that's kind of what happened across the Bay and around a lot of the different areas. Aside from that, I think all this to say is that it's real. And as a home buyer coming out and you know, getting your feet wet, going out there into the home buying sphere, make sure you look out for those things. Make sure you look out for, you know, discrimination in certain ways. And, you know, if you do want to, you know, if you do have found yourself in a situation, I would encourage you. The DRE, the Department of Real Estate, has a website that you can actually report agents on if you find that you've been on the target or the receiving end of discrimination. And I would encourage you to, you know, not stand for it. Speak up, and if it's not right, speak up. And you know, I myself, you know, have a commitment that I will do the same. So thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully, it's enlightened you a little bit. I totally encourage you to look at the website newsday.com. It's the Long Island undercover investigation that they had, so you can find out some more information. But thank you so much again. Hey, if you're interested in home ownership or want to know a little bit more, contact me, 408-561-7922, or my website, TamikaEllsworth.com. Thank you so much. Faith in Home Buying, equipping people of faith for the home buying process. God bless.